You have to adopt responsibility as a mindset. So I got my boy here, Maxwell. Is in the building. And earlier today, me and you were talking about responsibility, right? And we were talking about trust. So one of the requirements this summer is Maxwell and his sister both have to read how many books?
4.
You have to read 4 books. And so you finished your first one, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so as he finished his first one, I was asking questions about it. And immediately your response to me was what?
You don't trust me.
Why?
Because normally when you're like asking too many questions, you don't normally feel confident in what you're saying.
Say that again.
You don't feel confident on what you're saying when you're asking the question.
No, I'm confident in what I'm saying. I am not always confident that you said that you did what you said you were going to do.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this opened up our conversation on responsibility, the mindset of responsibility, and trust. And trust has to be earned, right? Because there have been times in which you told me you read something
and I didn't.
And you didn't,
Okay.
right? Okay. Or there have been times in which, hey, Maxwell, did you clean your room up? And I go back there and I'm like, all right, dude, what happened? No, right? So this is why I at times have to ask questions, and I ask more than 1 or 2 questions to get to the answer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So there's a reason behind it, correct? But what did I also tell you about trust? What's my ultimate goal with you and your sister?
For us to be trustworthy.
Well, to be trustworthy, but I want to get to a point in which what?
You can just tell us to do something and we'll do it.
That's right. I'll just tell you to do it, and I can just trust that it's done, right?
Yeah.
But that's earned, correct? So you read your book.
Yes.
I trust that you read your book.
Yes.
Okay. But
okay.
Based off of history.
Hey.
Okay. I have to ask a few questions. But you proved that you read your book.
Yes.
So now going forward, when we order your next book so that you can keep on with your responsibility, I don't have to ask that question anymore.
Yeah.
If you tell me you read it, guess what? I believe you read it.
Hey, you want to hear what the whole book is about?
Say what now?
You want to hear what the whole
book
is
actually,
about?
If you want to, you know what? Maybe this is an opportunity. Tell me. So what book did you read?
So I read The Middle School Rules for Vontae Davis.
Okay.
So basically the book was about him and his family going through a lot of problems because he grew up in DC during when DC was a big drug addict place.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to try to fight addiction when he was 11 to keep his siblings safe and himself. And so they had to go to a foster home, and their grandparents ended up taking them in since their parents were over on drugs. And then their grandparents raised him and raised him until he was old enough to play football. He wanted to play football to release his stress from what happened as a child. But his grandmother did not agree with him playing football. But his grandfather, he liked football because he watched the not the Red Sox.
The Redskins.
The Redskins.
Well, it's no longer the Redskins now. They're
Commanders.
Now the Commanders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so he wanted Vontae to play football. And so he ended up playing football by convincing his grandparents. And then once he started playing football, he started to like it.
Mm-hmm.
But then once he started to get into middle school, he had a friend was named Carl. He used to mess around in class and push teachers' limits, and he was his friend. So they would kind of do stuff together. And one time, Vontae got in trouble so much that he had to go to detention with this mean teacher. She was very strict, and she would not let them do anything. Mm-hmm. She would just make them sit in a room. The normal room that he went in was 110 because that was for short detention. But his friend Carl, since he got in trouble a lot, he had to go to 210 because that was where you stay for long detention. That's normally it's the whole day. And then after he got out of middle school, he liked watching his brother play. And once his brother finished his games, the scouts would come over, college scouts. They would come, and he remembered the University of Maryland and Florida. The University of Florida, they wanted him on their team because he played a lot of different positions. He played kick returner, safety, linebacker.
His brother or him?
Vernon.
Okay, so his brother, not Vontae. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
But then once Vontae started getting into high school, he started playing football.
Mm-hmm.
But he also used to walk home with his friend like Carl,
mm-hmm.
and they would normally walk 3.5 blocks together, and then he would just walk home. But then one time they tried to take a shortcut, but they ended up at a basketball court where Vontae actually liked the sport, but because it was fast paced and he liked doing fast paced stuff. And then they ended up meeting like a gang because they were in DC and that was kind of like gang affiliated place.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like basketball tournaments. They would have to wear like their gang colors to prove which team is which. And they would be betting on each other.
Okay.
But once Vontae started getting into the sport, he liked it more. But
he liked basketball more?
Yeah, he started liking basketball more.
More than football, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then that all changed when like people started coming over there, like, and he would always have to run away from the basketball court when gang people came.
Okay.
Because he was too scared to get affiliated.
Okay.
And so every time he ran away, he would lose more practice. And so he started disliking basketball and went back to football.
Okay.
But since football season was in the fall, he had to do track because his coach insisted on the players doing track for like endurance, and so he started doing track in the spring, and so football season came around, and they had a coach who was he made it to the Olympic tryouts and all that.
Oh, the Olympic trials?
Yeah,
okay.
The trials.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't make it to the Olympics.
And that was his track coach?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it kind of helped Vontae have endurance and speed.
Okay. Which helped him on the football field.
Yeah, which helped him on the football field. But once he passed high school, he got a scholarship to, I can't remember the college. Mm-hmm. Wait, I think it was Illinois.
Yep.
It was Illinois.
That's right.
Yeah, Illinois, and he played there until he got drafted.
Then he went to the NFL.
Yep. And then he went to the NFL.
Now, and I told you, unfortunately, Vontae Davis passed away a couple of years ago, and that wasn't in the book. I think the book was written before he passed away. And again, what's the title of the book?
Middle School Rules.
Middle School Rules, and Middle School Rules kind of documents the lives of athletes and influential figures, and their childhood. And you being in middle school, this is kind of cool for you to read because I told you can read whatever 4 books you read. I don't really care, but just read, learn. And I'm proud of you for reading and learning. And honestly, we didn't come on here to talk about the book, but Middle School Rules, the story of Vontae Davis, is a good one for your middle school guys if they're into sports or whatnot. But really, we were here to talk about responsibility and trust. And what you just exhibited by giving a full summary of the book that you read shows that you read the book.
I told you.
I know, and I believed you. And I told you that before. I was like, I believed you. But I also wanted you to prove it because trust is earned. Yes. And it's a mindset. Yes. Because ultimately, your mother and I, we want to make sure that you and your sister get to a point in which we don't have to continuously remind you of things. Yes. If we tell you to do something, we want you all to do it. Yes. So sometimes we ask you to do things, and it's really about whether or not you're going to be obedient to that thing that we're asking you to do in the moment. That's it. No more, no less. Yes. But the thing is, when you prove yourself, then we can let it go and just trust that it's going to be done. Yes. That's how we want to live our lives, right? Yes. Because when you're obedient to what you're supposed to be obedient to, you execute on what you're supposed to execute on, life is a whole lot of fun, my boy.
Nah.
Yeah. But life can really, really suck if you don't do what you're supposed to do. Yeah, you know that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, man. Well, cool. Well, yo, today was just a little quick conversation with my boy Maxwell, who's actually got a birthday coming up. Don't know when this is actually getting released, so it might get released. If it's released after June the 18th, your boy just turned 12. If it's before June the 18th, he's still 11. But anyway, this is my man. Love you, boy. Keep up the good work. And yo, as always, y'all make sure to like and follow Coach Mike D everywhere on social media. This here YouTube page. Continue to like, share this thing out. This is really about you becoming the quarterback of your mindset and really understanding that responsibility and trust are things that are components of your mindset, and you need to prioritize those for yourself, but then also for those that are around you, i.e., your children, right? Because if we can all adopt a mindset of responsibility and trust, we can let things go and realize that things are going to get done the way that they're supposed to. And man, then life is a whole lot of fun. All right. Well, hey, y'all be blessed, well, and wise, and I'll holler at you. Peace.